All right, get this live stream going. Okay, good afternoon. Thank you guys for making the live stream. Those that are watching it after it's already been recorded, thank you for taking the time to watch it. We are normally on 3 platforms: Facebook Live, YouTube, and Periscope, but Periscope doesn't seem to be working today. We're having some connection issues with that, so we'll just do Facebook Live and YouTube. My name is Tamani. I'm the author of the new book, Black Gold Devalued, Countering America's Covert Hostility towards the black community, and this is the live stream Black Gold Solutions, where we talk about concrete solutions to the many things that are destroying the black community. On the live stream, we don't want to just talk about the issues. We don't want to just talk about the problem, but we want to give concrete, feasible solutions as we see them for the many problems that exist in the black community. There are countless shows out there of people doing interviews with other people talking about the issue, and we don't want to do that. We want to focus on the solutions because, quite frankly, the problems have been spoken about, pontificated, discussed, debated for hundreds of years in this country, and most of the problems, if not every single one, still exists. So we want to focus on the solutions, and for us, the solution is being able to own and control the community. So again, as I stated, my name is Tamani. This is the live stream for Black Gold Solutions. I'm the author of the new book, Black Gold Devalued, Countering America's Covert Hostility toward the black community. Our website is www.blackgoldnation.com, and we want to just thank you for making the live stream and taking time out to hear what we have to say, and hopefully you'll join us in what we're trying to do and accomplish. We've been talking about the importance of Black Wall Street, not just historically, but as it pertains to our survival in 2017. Currently, as it exists, black people are on the bottom of every good list and at the top of every bad list. As a people, as a collective community, nationally, we're not moving forward, we're moving backward, and that is the case because we have so many things working against us, and most of those things have come at the hands of this American government. And of course, we also have issues happening within the community as it relates to our own people being problems as well, but they are most certainly not nearly as large a problem as this government has been as it relates to our existence. So we're saying if we're going to have a future worth living in this country, we need to do the only thing that's worked for us to date, and that one thing is having a community that we both own and that we can own and control. Black Wall Street is a term that we use specifically speaking about the community in Tulsa, Oklahoma from 1911 to 1920. Specifically, we're talking about that community, but when we say Black Wall Street, we're also talking about those communities that black people owned and controlled and took care of themselves, took care of their children, their women, their elders. Unfortunately, all of them, well, I'll say 99.9% of them were destroyed at the hands of white people. The way it usually works is that a white person accuses a black person of doing something. A white mob develops, a white lynch mob. They go to that part of that city or that town. They seek to get that person. The community oftentimes tries to stop the lynch mob from moving forward. Then more and more white people join in. Before you know it, there's a race riot. City, town, community gets burnt to the ground. That happened to Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is probably the largest, most famous quote-unquote Black Wall Street, but that's also happened to hundreds of other, I won't say hundreds, I'll say maybe, from my count, maybe 65, 70 of communities that were owned and controlled by black people that were subsequently destroyed by white people. And all of these communities were moving forward. They were taking care of themselves. They were doing their own thing. They had their own business, turning over the black dollar, educating their children. And of course, they didn't really have a choice because of segregation. And we have segregation now, but the difference between then and now is they used that segregation as a basis to build power moving forward for the community. So their mindset was, since we're already separate, since we can't be a part of the mainstream American society, we're going to use this and do our own thing. And all of them did their own thing so well that they in many cases surpassed, the white community, which is where the animosity, anger, and jealousy came in, which is why they were subsequently destroyed. So if we know nothing else, we know that black people can do their own thing. We can build, we can lead, we can teach, we can educate, we can do anything we want to do when we're left to do it, unmolested, unassaulted, not bothered with, not tampered with, not infiltrated, not subjugated to laws that are anti the uplift and forward movement of the community. When we're left to our own vices, when we're left to do our own thing, we can most certainly do those things, as it has been proving with Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the other quote-unquote Black Wall Streets that have existed in our history in this country. And of course, if you look at our history before we got here, we most certainly accomplished things much greater than owning and controlling our own community. Black people, African people used to run the world at one point. So we can most certainly do this thing if people just simply get out of our way and let us do it. But in 2017, we can no longer sit and wait for someone to get out of our way. We can no longer sit and wait for someone to do it for us. We can no longer sit and wait for someone to give us a grant or give us the plan or the leadership or the go-ahead or whatever. In order for black people not to become a permanent underclass in this country, for us to ensure that our children have a future worth living and our children can pass on something with value and power to the next generation after them, and the next generation after them, we must do our own thing. And our own thing is having a Black Wall Street, which is a community, again, that we own and control. So we're saying that in order to move forward as a collective community, in order to ensure that our children and women are protected, in order to ensure that we can turn over the black dollar as many times as humanly possible, in order to ensure that we can properly educate not only our children, but the larger community as to what it means to be black in America, and in order to ensure that we can keep and hang on to that black excellence that we produce in our children as much as possible, and not give it back to the very system that's oppressing and destroying and killing us, we simply have to do our own thing. We've simply tried everything else, from voting to boycotting to marching to even rioting, civil unrest. We've tried all of that. And I would never tell a black person that they should not do those things. If that's what moves you, if that's what makes you feel like you are in the struggle or contributing, and you are, then by all means continue to do that. I am saying that while you are doing that, or when you're not doing that, take time out to build something for yourself. So when whatever you're doing doesn't work, or doesn't move as fast as you want it to, or doesn't have the outcome that you wanted it to have, you can always have a physical safe haven in this country whereby you won't be harassed by the police, whereby you won't be assaulted and or murdered by the police, whereby your children can be properly educated and protected, whereby your woman, your sister, your mother, your auntie, your grandmother, your aunts, your cousins are protected, whereby every member that's in and around the community is protected, taken care of, educated, and have a place that they can call home, and not worry about the vices of the greater American society that has and still is, in our opinion, destroying the black community on purpose. So in order for us to do this thing, have a nation within a nation, which is the ultimate goal, in order for us to have a nation within a nation, we need to look at the reality of our relationship with this American government and move forward and do something about that. What we're saying is we need to not only rebuild Black Wall Street, but we need to rebuild it in the top, I'll say top 100, but every major city in this country where black people are. And not only do we need to build them and make sure they're all connected spiritually, economically, educationally, politically, but we also need to duplicate the process, duplicate the model of those Black Wall Streets, those chocolate cities, if you will, around the country, so that we can build power moving forward, and that we can better dictate and determine what happens with those precious black bodies and minds that we're producing. So for the past, I don't know, 8, 9 live streams we've been having, I've been talking about the importance of Black Wall Street from several vantage points. I've outlined, in my opinion, the 4 major areas that we need to have a Black Wall Street, and that's not to say that there aren't others, but I'll just outline the top 4, which is protection, education, economics, and keeping and maintaining Black excellence. In those streams, we've talked about those in detail, so if you are unfamiliar with Black Wall Street, or you want to know more about what I'm talking about in greater detail, just go to the website, blackgoldnation.com, and you can click on media and videos and see the videos. You can find us on Facebook as well, and we're also on YouTube. So for the past few streams, we talked about the importance of having a Black Wall Street, and we've broken that down, each one of those categories. We've gone out into the community to give you a real-life example of Black Wall Street, which is here in the greater Houston area. There is an area of the city, 2 streets called Bel Air and Bissonnette, where the Vietnamese community has done a fantastic job of really owning and controlling their community. Not only are the names of the businesses in English and Vietnamese, some of just in Vietnamese, but the marquee for the businesses in that area, the street signs are in both languages. So they've done an excellent job of creating a nation within a nation for themselves. And I've given a really good example of my own personal story, having been a member of a church called the Shrines of the Black Madonna. For 20 years, I lived in an environment that was owned and controlled by Black people. So I'm not just talking about, something that's a good idea. I'm talking about something that's worked historically. I'm talking about something that is really, in my opinion, the only thing we have left to do. I'm talking about a real-life example of how it's happening right now for other people, and I'm talking about my own personal experience of having lived in a quote-unquote Black Wall Street setting, whereby the community was owned and controlled by Black people. So how do we do that, which is really the crux of the matter? I won't say most, because most Black people don't know, sadly, but a large number of Black people will agree that having a Black Wall Street, or having a city or town that we own and control, or having a part of a community or city that we own and control is a very good idea. Most people, logically speaking, will agree with that. But how do we get to that point? How do we make it so we can have a physical safe haven close to a city, in a city, or outside a city that is benefiting our forward advancement, benefiting our uplift, that's benefiting those that are coming behind us? And in order for us to do that, the first thing we need to do is have leadership that's on the same page, which is the topic of this particular live stream. The 2018 National Black Leadership Election, how that works and why we must do it. Before we can realistically move forward with having a Black Wall Street, because you have to remember, Black Wall Street is not just a city and or a town that we own and control. It has to be a system of governance of the people that live there. There has to be an economic structure. There has to be an education structure. There has to be industry attached to that area so that we can employ, train, and give our people jobs. So it's more than just having a place that we can own and control. It needs to be fully functioning, and to do that, you have to have several things. So what we're saying, those members of the Black Gold movement and who are on board with building this nation within a nation, we're saying the first thing we need to do is identify leadership that's on the same page moving forward, so we can make sure that every area of this nation that we're trying to build is covered. So what we've done is we've researched different governments, to include the American government, both currently and in the past, and we've extricated those departments, those areas that constantly repeat themselves, like education, politics, economics, those kinds of things, and we've added some areas that we thought Black people need, like spiritual healing and well-being, agribusiness, those types of things. So we've identified 18 different departments that we think our nation, within this nation, needs to begin, thrive, grow, and prosper. And that's not to say that there is only 18. We're saying that we've identified 18. There very well could be 19, 20, 25, but we haven't gotten to the point where we know what those other departments are. And actually, initially, we only had 14, but by speaking with other black people, talking to other black people, we've had departments that were added because someone told us, well, you need this department as well, so we've added it. So for us, we're saying that if we're going to have a Black Wall Street, if we're going to have a community that we own and control, we need to have leadership that's on the same page. We're not concerned with your political affiliation. We're not concerned with your sexual preference. We're not concerned with your religious preference. What we're concerned with is that whatever area you are bringing to the black nation, you are a proven expert and or professional in that area. You have programs that you've implemented that have been successful in that area, and per your work in the community, you've proven your love for black people. So of those, the 18 departments that we have, I'm going to give the list, and again, all this is on the website, blackgoldnation.com. But just so you know, as you listen to the stream, the departments we're talking about are agribusiness, business development, economics and finance, city planning and business integration, infrastructure and construction, domestic policy, sustainability, education, foreign policy, health and nutrition, excuse me, employment and training, spiritual health and well-being, information technology, intelligence and defense, legal, media, marketing, and public relations, which is a very big one, especially what's going on right now in the media, with us losing what little black people we have that are speaking on our behalf, with Roland Martin and Tavis Smiley, and politics and national security. So we're saying the first step, as we see it, toward building this nation within a nation is having leadership that's on the same page. And we're saying leadership in these different areas because, again, we believe that to get things going, we need to have these areas covered. So how do we do that? Next April 14th, 2018, we're going to have the first national black leadership election to take place online. My goal, our goal, is to have 200,000 black people to vote in this first election. 200,000 because it's a nice round solid number, and it's going to allow for us to do other things with that number. But we're saying that we want to identify in each of those departments 6 to 8 persons of interest that have proven themselves to be experts and are professionals, have track records of success in our program, and have proven their love for the community. So the way this thing works is this. Let's say, for example, there is a brother or sister in Marietta, Georgia. They have a farm. They are agribusiness professionals. We're saying someone from the community needs to identify, which they would already be known in that area, but identify, talk to, and nominate that person for leadership in the agribusiness department for the larger black nation. So that person gets nominated, of course, after having a conversation with them. They get vetted by the Black Gold Nation's vetting department to make sure they understand what they're agreeing to, what we expect of them, what we're asking of them, and what the overall goal is. And sometimes we've had people that have been nominated that didn't pass the vetting process. They didn't understand the full commitment, so they declined the nomination. And of course, we had a few that have said yes, and we now have a few candidates for a few departments. So after the person has been identified by the community member, they've been nominated, they've been vetted, and they agree, then we now have a candidate for a department for the National Black Leadership Election to take place next year. So we want 6 to 8 persons in each department so that the larger black nation can see these black professionals. They can see this black excellence. They can read their resumes, see their bios, read their books, check out their videos, and they can see that this person would or would not be an excellent candidate for leadership in this department. Having the election does several things for us as a community. It'll let us know. A lot of people don't know. A quick segue. A lot of black people don't believe that black people can accomplish anything without a white person being involved. That is the myth of black inferiority. Black people have been declared inferior, and a lot of black people have accepted that declaration. So having the leadership election will show black people in other parts of the country that yes, black people in this country are doing some amazing things in multiple areas. That's the first thing. The first thing the election does is it highlights the existence of black election. I'm sorry, of black excellence and professionalism. The next thing it does is that it allows us as a national community to better support what they are doing in whatever area they are doing it. So for example, again, if this brother or sister in Marietta, they're experts in agribusiness, it'll show that, you know, these people are doing things in Georgia as it relates to agribusiness, and they have a very, very, very good program, let's say, of getting, I don't know, tomatoes from the farm to the market, getting those tomatoes from the farm to the market to the convenience store. That is something that black people need to know about how to do, not just grow food, but get that food to market so people can buy it. So highlighting that black excellence will allow not only that immediate community around those persons, but also the local, regional, and national, and even international community to get behind that person to better support what they're doing. So the first thing is that it highlights black excellence. Second thing, it allows for them to get more support from black people on a larger scale. And the third thing is that it allows us, the Black Gold movement supporters and the larger black nation, it allows us to see the best practices in these different departments come to light, and allows us to pick out of all of these different candidates of these different departments the persons that we think will best serve the interests of the nation. And the person that wins will head that department, and those that do not win, we're going to ask them to support that person that wins. So ideally, we will have, after this election is over, 100, I don't say hundreds, I'll say 100 plus, at a minimum, 100 plus years of expertise of black excellence in these different areas. If we have 6 to 8 candidates in the agribusiness department, all of whom will probably have 10 plus years of experience, then that's 80 plus years, 60 to 80 plus years of black excellence coming to the national black community. Some will have more, some will have less, but most of them will have a track record of doing things in the community, which is why they were nominated in the first place. So from agribusiness to spiritual healing and well-being, we'll have multiple years of experience, expertise, knowledge, understanding coming to the election that the national black community can vote on. So what we're ultimately doing is we're trying to find the best of the best as it relates to these departments that we feel we need to build this nation. And by us having the best of the best, we create for ourselves those black gold best practices in multiple areas so that we have all of these things covered. So if we know that if we're going to have a nation within a nation, if we know per our history that things are going to be attacked, be it electronic, be it cyber, be it physical, if we know that, then we need to take steps to protect what we have. So that means that those persons who are running for national defense, national security department, our intelligence department, those persons need to have expertise and experience in these areas so that they can ensure that the nation is covered as it relates to cyber, electronic, and or physical attack. If we know we need to be able to feed ourselves, then those persons in the agribusiness department will have X amount of years of experience, because we need that to build this nation. So again, what we've done is we've identified different departments that we believe we need to have a nation within a nation so that we can, again, protect our children, protect our women, educate our people, have a place where our elders can plug in and continue to give back, and we can ensure that black excellence that we create is staying home and not going back to a system that doesn't have our best interest at heart. At the end of the day, our children should have a choice between black Exxon and white Exxon. They should have a choice between black Silicon Valley and white Silicon Valley. They should have a choice between black Wall Street and white Wall Street. And if they choose to go to the white version, if you will, of those different areas, then okay. But we would hope that they would bring that expertise back to the black nation, because the black nation has raised them to think black first. Black lives matter, black skin matters, black progress matters. So it should be a no-brainer. And if we raise them properly, they will want to bring that black excellence back to the black nation, because the black nation helped them to be who they are, which is extremely important. So we're saying across the board, if we're going to have this rebuilding of Black Wall Street, we need to have leadership that's on the same page as far as the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal is to build a nation within a nation that has power politically, economically, spiritually, across the board. And of course, we are going to connect with, and we're already working on actually, connect with brothers and sisters in other countries, because we are not the only people of color that are oppressed and are held back on purpose by a non-melanated power structure. So if we know that by us building a power base here in America, because we are in America, that could not only serve the interests of us in America, make our cities better, make our country better, because we help build the damn thing. It can help make Black people in other places better as well, because Black people in America have opportunities to do things that other people don't have. So practically speaking, we, Black people here in America, are probably in one of the best positions as any other Black person on this planet to make change for Black people and Black children, Black women, Black elders moving forward. So we're saying to do Black Wall Street, to have these economic centers that we own and control, to ensure police brutality ends where our people live, to ensure that redlining and gentrification ends where our people live, to ensure that we can properly educate our people, to ensure that our people have a physically safe space in this country, to ensure that we can develop ourselves spiritually, which changes the game entirely. We need to have a place that we can call our own, that we can own and control. And to do that, the first step is having leadership that's on the same page. So 2018, April, we're going to have the first National Black Leadership Election to take place online. We want 100,000 Black people to vote in this election. And then once we get them to vote from that number, 100,000, we'll then give them the blueprint from these different areas. And remember, all of these people have expertise doing what they do. That's why they were nominated. They will provide the blueprint in these different areas as to what we need to move forward. We hit the ground running. We don't have time to convince a Black person that this is important. We don't have time to debate and to talk about and pontificate and wonder. We don't have time to sit back and see what the government is going to do. We don't have time to sit back and see if this brother or this sister is going to follow through. If you see it, you need to be a part of it. Otherwise, you're part of the problem. So what we're saying is that we need to get about the task immediately now, finding Black people with expertise in these different areas, nominate them for leadership. We will vet them. If they are on board, they'll be a candidate. And April 14th of next year, we will vote. And if they become leadership, then they will lay the groundwork of what comes next moving forward. And we can, as a collective national Black community, have a plan in multiple areas that's specific, that's realistic, that's practical, that's proven that we can implement. That is a step toward building power for Black people in this country. We are seeing what is happening to Black media. And I'm not even sure if I can say Black media persons or professionals. Roland Martin, whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him or not, Roland Martin was a power for Black people as related to media. I know of no other person that would speak truth to power like Roland Martin. Tavis Smiley, say what you will about Tavis. Like him or not, Tavis was a Black man that spoke truth to power to Black people on a national level. So having media that we own, control, that will tell our story from our vantage point is extremely important. And if we don't make these moves to ensure that we can take care of ourselves independent of anyone else, then we're doing ourselves and our children a disservice, and we are ensuring that our children have absolutely nothing worth having moving forward. So the importance of Black leadership is vital, because with that leadership, we'll be able to lay the groundwork in multiple areas to make sure that black people are moving forward. Economically, we need to be able to not only feed ourselves, but stand on our own two economic feet and not have to depend on someone else. If we have relationships, if we have allies, if we have business strategic partners, then that's one thing. But to totally, completely rely on a system that's proven itself to be anti-you, anti-black is ridiculous. And we need to get away from that as soon as possible. So we're saying the first thing is the leadership. The second thing is a program. The third thing is ensuring that we are hitting the ground running with a blueprint in multiple areas that works. So to get more information about the election, you can go to the website blackgoldnation.com, click on the election. Everything is there. And I apologize. I am so behind. I need a staff. I need some volunteers. I'm so behind on getting our candidate information up. We actually have about 7 or 8 candidates in different departments that we've had for at least a month, 2 months. Some of them 2 months, some a week. I need to put their information out there so people can start seeing them. I need to start interviewing them, which should be coming up this coming weekend. So there's a lot that we have to do. There's a lot that needs to be done, and we're so behind schedule. We need assistance from persons who see the vision and want to be a part. We need more brothers like Deshaun Lamb, who's been absolutely wonderful in helping us spread the word. My number 2, Sister April Hunter, has been absolutely fantastic in making sure I am doing things in an organized fashion. I'm doing things the right way. Information is presented the right way, and then I'm getting it out. My sister-in-law, Julia James, she's joined the live stream. So we need people like these persons who want to be a part. And we need people who are serious. I've had 2 people that I've met on Facebook who talk like they want to do something. One brother cut me off and stopped talking to me because I said, get in where you fit in. We were talking about him being a part. And he said, I'm down for anything that's good for black people. I said, cool. We have a lot to do. See what's there and get in where you fit in. For some reason, get in where you fit in bothered him, and he stopped talking to me and just severed ties. I don't know. Another brother who I was talking to yesterday, we were having a very long conversation about who I am, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, what my perspective is. Send him the website, information about the book, the Amazon link, blah, blah, blah. And he asked me about how am I going to convince black people? And I said, I don't have time to convince black people. If a black person sees it, amen, let's move. If you don't see it, God bless you, get out of the way, I got to go. He said, I don't get it. He said, I knew it, you don't get it. Something like you will learn, and just stop talking. But for me, if you're serious about building something for black people, then you don't stop the conversation at the first time you're having a conversation because you're bothered, pissed off, misunderstood, even angry. You work it out. And that's one of the things, that's one of the reasons why our spiritual healing and well-being department is so important. That's one of the reasons why being a member of the Shrines of the Black Madonna is so important, because we had a process by which black people can rid themselves of their individualistic natural nature and learn how to be a part of a group so that we can work together moving forward. And before you poo-poo that idea, every large organization does that. America does it, helping you to be an American with the indoctrination and the Pledge of Allegiance. The military most certainly does it. That's why you have to go through basic training. They break down the individual so you can become a part of a group. Large corporations do it. And we're not going to have this nation within a nation. We're not going to be able to rebuild Black Wall Street seriously and connect them if we don't do the same thing. We have to get to the point where we can talk, converse, debate, disagree, get angry, get upset, yell and scream, but still love each other and hug and know that it's for the betterment of the individual, for the group, for the community, for the nation. The individual is not what's most important. What's most important is the group. If the group makes it, the individual makes it. If the group doesn't make it, the individual doesn't make it. One of the reasons why we need to have a spiritual healing and well-being department that understands the importance of black people getting back to being the Africans that we are, so that we can connect with our true spiritual nature and move forward on a power level that's never been seen before. We have many strengths. Like Roland Martin has been saying this past week with what took place in Alabama. Black people have political power. But where we falter is that we get motivated for one election and we vote for that one election. And then once it's over, we don't hold those persons accountable that we elected. We kind of sit back and hope and pray they do what they say they were going to do. No. We not only need to hold them accountable to what they say they were going to do, we need to make sure that we are laying the groundwork for the next election. Local voting is extremely important. That's the school board and the sheriff and the police chief and the fire chief. Those persons need to be in support of our community. That is the local prosecutor, the defense attorney. We need to make sure that persons that are being elected as judges don't have a vendetta, aren't getting paid by the prison industrial complex, aren't sending black and brown and poor white bodies to prison as soon as they can because they're getting a kickback. We need to make sure that the persons that we're electing have our best interests at heart, so that we're moving forward, not just with what we're building, because that will always be for us, always a safe space. But we will also ensure that those systems and processes that take place outside of the community are also working toward our betterment and our uplift. That Vietnamese community that I showed on a stream a few weeks ago, the street signs are in a different language. They're in Vietnamese. They did that with political power. Now, of course, we know that we've done things as well, like Black Wall Street, like all of the Black Wall Streets that have been destroyed. We know that. It's our history. It's our truth. We know that. But just because something has happened in the past doesn't mean we learn from it and do it again and not make the same mistakes that were made in the past. So having political power is important on multiple levels. And to do that, we have to have political leadership that understands the importance of grassroots organization, understands the importance of no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests, and understands the importance of building a political base so that when something happens, we don't have to rush to organize. We'll know what's going to happen before it happens, before they start organizing, and we can already be organized and move. Another thing that I got from the shrines of the Black Madonna is we had a political organization called the Black Slate that was really big in Detroit and Atlanta, and started to do things here in Houston as well. Well, we're moving in Houston as well. But if you wanted to run for office, if you did not get the endorsement of the Black Slate, then you weren't going to win, because candidates knew at that time that the Black Slate had the black vote. The Black Slate represented the black community and the black vote. So if the Black Slate said it was good, black people were on board. If the Black Slate said it was bad, black people weren't on board. We need to get back to that. We need to ensure that black people, as much as possible, understand the issues, understand who's running, understand where our best interests lie, and vote accordingly, not only locally, but nationally. And if you don't believe, as many of us do not, that national elections, voting nationally for the president matters, simply look at the current president that we have, which should be an open and shut case. So, to close this thing out, we believe that the only thing we have left to do is own and control our communities in a major way. Rebuild Black Wall Street. Rebuild Black Wall Street and duplicate the process in as many cities as we can. Make sure that each one of them are connected politically, socially, spiritually, educationally, economically, so that collectively we have a nation working together to raise black people up. To do that, we must have leadership that's on the same page. To find that leadership and ensure they are on the same page, we're going to have the first national black leadership election to take place April 14, 2018. We are already moving in multiple areas to make this thing a reality. We have a fundraiser going on right now where we have some strategic partners that have been laying the groundwork for black people to get involved in industries that are currently up and coming. One of our problems in the community is that we can't employ ourselves because we don't own in or control any industries. There are industries that black people can have an ownership stake in. There are industries that are up and coming that black people can have an ownership stake in. We're saying we need to be a part of those industries so that we can train and employ our people. Some of those industries are hemp, medical marijuana, organic algae, aquaponics, things of that nature that are on the rise. By having industries that we have an ownership stake in or a significant piece of, we'll be able to train and employ our people. By doing that, that one thing changes the game in that one area. So this fundraiser we have some brothers that we've been working with for a few months that had an opportunity that they were expecting to come through the middle part of 2018. It came through maybe 4 weeks ago, dropped in their lap. The people they were working with said that we're ready. All you need to do is get here and sign the paperwork. So we have a fundraiser going on right now where we're trying to raise $9,375 to get 2 brothers to South Carolina to sign some paperwork for some land that's already has been agreed to for us to lease for 30 years, that we can grow non-GMO foods. We can get into organic algae. We can grow multiple kinds of rice. We can get into aquaponics greenhouses. We can get into manufacturing. The land is there. The relationships are waiting. The paperwork, most of it is ready. We still got to do some stuff with the attorney. That's most of that. The largest numbers is for the attorney fees. All that stuff is ready. All we need to do is get these brothers there. So when you go to the website, when you're looking at all the information and you're looking at the stuff about the election, also click on Contribute Now and read what's going on. And of course we want you to contribute, because what we're talking about doing is a monumental historic move for black people. But we don't want you to do it just because, I'm saying it because you don't know who I am. I'm nobody. You just met me. We're saying do it because it makes sense. We're saying doing it because if anyone else is doing it, we can help them to do it. We're saying contribute because it's not just about me. It's not just about you. It's not just about your friends or your organization. It's about those kids that are coming behind us. We're saying we must rebuild Black Wall Street in multiple cities. None of them will make it if we don't have a very, 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 very strong economic component to make sure each one of them are growing and thriving. And all of them have to have a connection to an industry that can support the economic base and infrastructure of that city. So what we're talking about is extremely important. It's extremely huge. And probably the most important thing is that it can be done. It's been done before, and we can do it again. I believe that anything black people put their minds to, we can accomplish. I believe that one of our issues in answering the critical questions of what do we need to do, how do we need to do it, who can do it, I think we simply need to pose the question. I believe that if we pose a question about black people as it pertains to a particular problem, there is a black person out there that can solve and or answer that question. And if that person does not exist, I believe that a group of black people with the right understanding, the right intellect, the right training can come up with the solution. I simply believe all we have to do is ask the right question. So we ask the right question to the right black people, we get the right answer, and then we can move. Okay, so I'm going to close this thing out. I tried to stop at 30 minutes. I've been kind of screwing that up as of late. So if we don't already have your email address, please send it so that we can plug you into everything that we're working on. If you have some time to volunteer, please send us an email at theblackgoldnation@gmail.com. Let us know if you only have 5 minutes a week. And I'm being serious, 300 seconds a week is all you have because you're busy as hell doing your thing. let us know. I will give you something to do for those 5 minutes a week. And that's something that you do will help benefit and grow the Black nation with those 5 minutes. If you have 10, 15, 20, 30, 1 hour a week to give to the building of a Black nation with power, then let us know. Give us that time, and we'll give you something to do that we need to be, that needs to be done, that we need you to do, that's important, that's viable, that will plug into a larger, bigger picture so that we can build this thing moving forward. I can't do it by myself. Brother Deshaun can't do it by himself. Sister April can't do it by herself. Sister Julia James, my sister-in-law, she can't do it by herself. None of us can do it by ourselves. We need each other. We need a very strong critical mass of Black people who see it, want to make it happen, and are willing to put in the time to make it so. Just talking about the problem ain't gonna do it. Just posting black, quote-unquote, black things on Facebook ain't gonna do it. Just watching videos of Roland Martin or what's my brother's name? Dr. Boyce Watkins, whom I love and respect. Our brother, what's the brother's name? Shoot, I would draw, but the brother who did the Hidden Colors video, I apologize. What's that brother's name? Anyway, just watching those brothers isn't enough. All of those brothers have something to offer. We need their support. We need their guidance. We need their understanding. We need their Black excellence, their intellect. But more so, we need your Black energy. We need your Black intellect. We need your Black time. Because there are many more of us than there are of a Dr. Boyce Watkins, whom we also need. There's many more of us than there is of a shoot, I can't remember any other brothers out there that's doing anything for Black people. I'm saying it's going to take all of us to make it happen, and of course there will never be all of us, but it's going to take a critical mass. So thank you very much for taking the live stream. At some point we're going to have people asking questions, and I'll be able to answer them. Hopefully we get somebody asking. So thank you very much for making the live stream. Send us your email address if we don't already have it. If you have some time to give, please give it. And I always try to close out with two things to keep on your Black mind. The first one is something one of my mentors said at the end of her radio show here in Houston, Texas. Sister Ada Edwards, one of my mentors whom I love and respect dearly. She would say, no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And as we would say often in the shrines of the Black Madonna, nothing is more sacred than the liberation and salvation of Black people. So thank you very much. God bless you. And I will see you this coming Thursday at 12 noon for the next live stream. God bless. Bye-bye.